Okay, so welcome everyone. For those of you who didn't hear, I would like to thank you for attending this talk. It's the last talk of the day. I know you're all very tired. I know I am. I'm up until since 5 o'clock this morning, switching up the slides for the fifth time. So let's see what we get. So about me, my name is Efthymios Sarmpanis. I'm the CTO at OneRoof, a New York-based startup that focuses on connecting neighbors in the building and also in the nearby buildings. I'm also a founder for the Flutter Greek community and a GDE for Dart and Flutter. Also have 17 plus years in the business and working in various companies, but I guess didn't have room to put all of that there, so that's it. So this is the agenda. Before we get into the agenda, let me just see what crowd we have. So who here has heard of Rails, like Ruby on Rails? All right. Who has created something with Ruby on Rails? All right. And who is interested in learning about Dart in the server side? Okay. If you didn't raise your hand, maybe you're not in the correct room. All right. So let's see what I'm gonna talk about today. So introducing the MVC pattern. So most of you, as I've seen, know what Rails is, but we're going to go and have an overview of it anyway. And we'll see how Rails utilizes the MVC pattern to have opinionated structure on the project that you're building. And then we're going to look at code to see how we can adapt that structure into our server-side Dart code using the MVC pattern as is structured in Rails. Then we're going to check what's coming up in terms of this talk, and then if we have time, a Q&A. So the MVC pattern. I guess most of you would know, but I'm going to go through it anyways. So the MVC pattern comprises of three components: the controller, the model, and the view. Basically, the controller takes the model and combines it with the view, so it will serve it to the viewer, to the user. The view also sends inputs to the controller through the user, and basically that's the whole cycle of how this goes. Now, Rails. So Rails is a opinionated, full-stack kind of batteries-included framework where you can create very quick and easy web apps, server-side rendered web apps, but also, as of late, they do a lot of things, so I might not be up to date with what I'm telling you. You can go to their site and check, but basically what they do is that you can create something very fast, very easy, so you can test out, your idea or whatever it is that you want to build. So how Rails approaches MVC? So Rails has a bunch of components. Those are the main ones. It has a lot of more functionality than this, but let's focus on this because it's the most important one in order to get something out of the door. So Rails has a way for you to route your incoming requests, a views, which means templates, so you can create your templates, and through your templates you can create your views, and the controllers or the handlers where they handle the incoming requests and get I skipped the models, just so. All right, so the models, which is an ORM, an active record ORM, full-blown ORM. ORM is object relational mapping, which means that it gives you the opportunity to have a more structured way of accessing the database and more statically typed way of accessing the database. Controllers, they're using just their handlers, so the incoming request comes to the controller then through the ORM gets the data and puts them in the view in order to serve it. They also have helpers. Helpers is basically common code that needs to be run. It doesn't have like a place, but it's something that it's repeated. So if you want to be dry, you can don't repeat yourself. You can put that code in the helpers, and also a way to configure a project, meaning a configuration for the database, a configuration for your storage, and configuration like whatever has to do with your environment, whatever has to do with configuration, it's also there and given to you to do it. So before we go on, I would like you to see what we're going to build with Dart. So basically, I'm going to start on the opposite side. So we'll show you what we're going to build, and then I'm going to show you how we build it. So this is the application. It's just a blog, quote unquote, just a blog. It's a Dart on Rails blog. You can log in. I don't have a user, so let's register. Let's see the demo gods. Oh, yeah, the demo gods are about to kick me because, oh no, it's running. It's there, all right. So let's see. My email is hello@email.com. My name is Dash. My password is a very secure 123. I register myself, and now you can see that I have, like the app recognizes that I have registered, that I am a registered user, and provides me two more things, one to log out and one to create a new post. I can go create a new post. I can say, Dart on, I could type Rails. And of course, lorem ipsum. I don't want to write all the things. And save. So this is our blog post. I can go back, and this is the list of the blog posts. We only have one right now. I can log out, and if I log out and try to go to the new page, I will get redirected to sign in. All right, so this is what we're going to build. So let's see now. Let's move on to Rails, and then we're going to see the project itself. So routing. This is how, in order to route your incoming request in Rails, you have to add your routing rule into your routes folder, in your routes file, which is inside your config folder. So there's config and routes, and in the routes you basically say, okay, whenever I get that verb, like get, post, delete, or whatever, on that path, I want you to use that controller. Basically, that's exactly what it says. And because it's Ruby, it creates a very fluent way of writing it. For templates, all of the templates reside into the apps views folder. And they use their kind of, it's called a Rails app template, which is basically you can have HTML and you can interpolate into HTML code or data that you want to display. So that's the views on Rails. The models, they use active record, right? So this is an example of an active record. You define your relationship, you define your fields, and you even might want to define your hooks, like after save and commit hook, what to do and what not to do. There's a bunch of things you can do with active record, but this is not a Ruby on Rails talk. So it's just so that we can see what they use, so to see how we can replicate that. Controllers, so that's the controller class. It's an articles controller class. You can see that they define the index, show, create methods. Those are the handler methods that, if you remember, they are using in the routing. So in the routing, this, you can have articles has index, and it will be redirected to the articles index here. And you can see that it accesses the active record in order to get the data and then pass the data to the view. This is just an example of a helper. You can have many helpers. You can split your helpers according to controllers if there is a helper only for one controller, or you can have it app-wide if you want to. So there we have like a time ago. So if you want to express something in time ago into your views, you can define that methods in your helper, which is not something that can reside in any controller. And this is the configuration folder in its entirety in Ruby on Rails. And you see it has environments, has initializers, it has the application, which is the application-wide configuration, and also the database YAML and the routes which we saw just before. Now, let's see what Dart can do with MVC following the Rails module. So why Dart? Dart is, because of its performance, Dart is also statically strong typed and statically typed. And also you can have async programming using Dart. Because Dart is also something that can be compiled with an ahead of time compiler into a binary. It will be easier to deploy because you could theoretically get that binary, put it in the container, and ship it. The libraries that I used for this example, it's not the norm, it's just like what I felt that lived up to the spirit of Rails, is self for controllers. Self is, oh, I have them somewhere, yeah. Okay, so self. Self is a middleware for Dart, and also it's kind of modularized, so you don't get like everything, you just get what you want. And for self, self is the middleware, which we want to wire our controllers. But also we have self router for our routing, and also, let me go back, self static, so we can serve some static content, let's say CSS or JavaScript that you want to add to your templates. Talking about templates, the views, we use Jinja. Who knows about Jinja? Oh, wow, okay, 1, 2, all right. I thought no one would. All right, so what's Jinja and why I selected Jinja? So Jinja is a template engine that it's not quite abandoned like 5 months ago, but like in terms of Dart, it's not there. But it has the features that I really wanted, which is, so you can see the to-do. It's not done, right? It has a lot of things to do yet. But it also has some things that I really liked, which are blocks and also the partials. So you can have partial templates inheriting from another template. So then you can utilize layouts, as we will see in the code later on. So just because of that, I used Jinja. Someone might ask, why didn't you use handlebars or mustache? So those implementations are not actual implementations. They are wrappers around JavaScript implementations. And I wanted to use native Dart. And Jinja was in native Dart. So it ticks all the boxes for me. And for models, I used Prisma. Who knows about Prisma? All right, good. So what is Prisma? Prisma is basically a port. It's an ORM, but it's also for JavaScript. It's not only for Dart. It has a hybrid way of defining the models. We will see that in the code. So we do use some JavaScript, some NPM, but it's only for development, so it's not bundled into your final product. So we can live with that, having NPM for development purposes. So those are the 3 main things that we used. And let's see some code. And I think, for some reason, I'm ahead of time, which is good. All right, so we will see more. So let me just close everything, and I'll like this. Can you see it, or maybe I can make it bigger? Let me make it bigger. It's better? Okay. All right, so Whenever we create a project, there is this bin folder, and this bin folder has a main Dart. I don't like the name main, so I renamed it to server. And it also creates some self-bootstrapping here. So the IP that you want to have, also the port, and all that. Now, in order to do that, we see a bit of like all of those things we're going to talk about, but later on. This is for the session store that we're going to use for authentication. But let's focus on the middleware. We have a session middle that's for authentication as well. That's just so we can see some logs. And there are the routes. If you click on the routes, we are here in a file which is placed quite similar to Rails. It's not on the top level, because we have a lot of things going on the top level, but it's in the lib folder, which is quite the norm for Dart and also Flutter projects to leave in the lib folder. So inside the lib folder, we have the Rails kind of replication of the structure. And we have the routes. One might ask, why didn't you use the self-router generator to create the routes and you manually put them in? It will be the whole idea of me presenting you what's going on and how you can do it. If you think that you want to generate your routes, you're free to do so. But like if you did, we wouldn't have this file. So we are kind of opinionated like Rails, and we have that in a file manually. So let's see what we have here. We have a get in the route, which will redirect us to the posts. In the posts, we want to mount all the things like the controller post has, index, show, new one. The one is appended because new is a keyword in Dart, so you cannot use that defined in post, so we can use the new one. If you have a better name, just let me know. I really like naming appropriate things. And also we have the create. You also see this middleware, which is, if you have to be authenticated in order to create a new post. And then we have the users, which is the login, the new, the create, the authenticate, and the logout. And then if nothing of this matches the path, then, go to the public. What's the public? That's the public folder here. You can hold your assets like the logo that you've seen. So this logo, let me check, okay. So this logo over here is statically served from public assets. And you can put, JavaScript, CSS, whatever you would like there. For me, CSS is loaded on the web so that I can avoid any surprises while demoing. With me so far? Okay. If you want to point out anything, just interrupt me, because we're going through code and I want you to be with me while we're doing it. All right, so we're through with routes. Now, let's see what this login, okay, so let's see the list of the posts. What does it do? We go to the index. So the index, as you can see, is inside the lib, as we said, in the app controllers folder. And here you can see all the other folders that is based on the structure of Rails. So we have the controller, which is post. Here is just a rollup file. So we have the library controller, and it exposes all the controllers here. So you don't have to import everything. You can import just controllers. And here in the index, we get the requests, and we return a response. So far, everything good. But here we have this strange RM. So what this RM is, if we go to the models, this RM resides into the client. It's generated. I know I said that it's going to be confusing, but for generation purposes, for Prisma, what Prisma does is actually you create this file. Let me close the other file so we can go here and there. So it creates this Prisma file, right? And here you define what database you want to use, where is this database, where the output of the generated client you want to be, and also the schema of the database. So once you define the schema of the database, you can see this is just a straightforward schema, a user and posts, and a user can have many posts, and a post can have only one user. So once you do that, then you have to run a generation. I conveniently put it inside a file, a bash file, so I can just run them together. So you have to run both of them. First, the npx Prisma generate is going to generate this file, which is, sorry, I'm kind of lost. Okay, here. It's going to generate this file. So this is generated by Prisma. I didn't write any of this, right? And then after, you can see that it has annotations from JSON serializable. So it does have some things that need to be generated further. So if you go all the way up, you will see that it's going to require a client.g. So it's going to require some more generated code. That's why, I didn't point, okay. So that's why we also have to run the build runner. So first we run the Prisma generate in order to generate the client, and then we run the build runner in order to generate the needed file for the generated file. Kind of an inception here, but that's how this works. If you want to use Prisma, you can use other things and not have your model generated for you, but you have to write it yourself. Okay, so the model is here, and I also have some application things here, which is how I define the Prisma client. So the Prisma client has to have a data source, and the data source is the connection to the database that we have created. With me so far? All right. We also have these models, which is the rollup file for the models library. So basically, if we go back to the controllers, and let me pin that, oh, not the controller, sorry, the posts. And in the index, so this ORM is the client. And because the client is generated, it also provides us, okay, what do you want me to do? I want to do something with the post, so I access the post part of it. If we drill into that, you will see that, you know, it has its own generated code that we can like barely understand, but it returns a post. A post is what we want, right? So, and after the post, we do a find many, and with find many, what we do is we get all the posts from the database. Then, okay, so we have the model, right? It's controller, it's view, MVC is model view controller. Okay, so we have the model. Let's find the view. So the view resides in the posts index. So let's see the views, the post, the index. JDO, by the way, is the file ending for the Jinja template files. So what we have here, okay, so this is one of the reasons, one of the main reasons that I wanted to use Jinja is because this file, I can define that it extends this layout. And this layout resides in layouts main. So this has all the things, you know, that it needs in order to render it itself. And it will render itself in this block, which is the content. And that's what we are saying here. So the block content is going to have whatever I have here. And what do I have here? I have posts where I iterate through the posts and I create a div, and I have a post ID for the reference if you want to go into the post. So basically, we get the models, we get the template, and then we render the template using the models that we want. So what's this user thing, you might ask? So this user thing is the, whenever we authenticate, we'll just see the authentication now. Whenever we authenticate the user, we have a middleware that passes in the request the actual user that's authenticated. And we're going to see how we do that. So we render, with this data, we render that view, and we return it with OK. And that's how we get this. So this is the list of the posts. This is the layout. And here we have the login. And that's why we pass the user. So why do we have login and we don't have like the new post or logout? Because in here, we say if you have a user, then have a logout and a new button. If you don't have a user, just have a login button. So it's just basically a basic condition in any templating engine, I would guess. All right, so let's see how we create a user. When we create a user, what we want to do, let me close everything. With me so far? Okay. I'm kind of losing me, that's why. All right. If you're with me, that's perfect. Okay. So here is how we authenticate the user and how we create a user. So we get the request, we get the fields. You might ask, is there a get fields in a request? No, it's a helper function which returns an extension on the request. So we have all of this code encapsulated inside the request, which is awesome because I also have the user here, and I also can put if it's authenticated or not. So everyone can use that. Whoever has access to the request can use that through this application level helper function. So we get the fields, we create a password hatch. This is again a helper function. You can see it's in the users though, because no one else cares about password and shouldn't. So it's in the users, and you can create the password where we do like basic sorting and basic hashing of the password. So we return the hash, and then we create the user with the name, email, and password. After that, we need to start a session. So how can we start a session? We create a session for a user. And this is another function, helper function, that takes a user, creates a session token, which is basically a random kind of number thing. And we have a session store. You remember in the server, we initialize the session store. That's why we initialize, so we can have access to it here. So we put under that token, that user. And you might say, okay, where will that, okay, so we have the session ID. And then whenever we return with the post, so we say, see other is kind of a fancy way redirect, but we also have access to the headers. And there is this special header saying set cookie. The set cookie tells the browser to take whatever the value it has and put it as a cookie on the level that you want to. Actually, this has a bug that we need to have the path, thank you, as a slash. Because otherwise we'll create a user for /posts, so a cookie for /post, and we'll not access it in any other place of the app. We want it everywhere. Anyway, so we set the cookie. So because we know that we have set the cookie, we know what to expect. So if we go back to the routers, I know that it's a bit much, and I have cut down quite a bit of what I wanted to present. We have this authenticated middleware, right? And this authenticated middleware, you can guess it's inside helpers application. So it's in here, right? It's code that needs to be reused. So what this middleware is doing is checking to see if there is a user. Actually, we can do that with our fancy extension. So if there is a user, if there is no user, then redirect that request to the login screen. So they will have to log in. Otherwise, they can go on, right? And this authenticated is wrapped around the post new and the post, the get new and the post / on posts, right? This is like the REST API. One thing that you have to understand about like Rails, both Rails and both this implementation is that here you not only define REST API, you define REST API on top of pages that might use that REST API. So having only this new will render the page, but we need a way to create the post, right? So that's why we post on the slash, which is the REST API. And this example uses only form fields. So you submit a form and you have form fields. If you wanted to use that as a REST API, what you had to do is go to the helpers application and scroll here to get fields. And here, what you could do is check the header and see if the content type is requested is JSON, then parse the body as a JSON. If the request field is anything else, try to parse the body as a form submission. Yeah. So basically, what we have here is a representation of the structure of the Rails app. With this, like you have your database, you have your views, like you have your web views, and you also have your controllers. So there you can have not so quickly, but you can have quite quickly a Dart-based application. And if you want to, you could switch the JSON parsing, and you can also have a REST API that can be used from a mobile app. Otherwise, the mobile app has to submit a form as well. So that's the application. I have some time. Good. Let's see what's coming up. With me so far? Any questions about that? We will have I think we have a question, a Q&A on the, I think we're going to have time for that. So coming up, let's see. As I told you, I'm not really happy about Jinja. It does what I want to do, but it does not all the things that I want to do. So having said that handlebars is just a wrapper around JavaScript, I have started the implementation of a pure native Dart handlebars compiler. It's not out yet. I'm missing, like I have implemented the conditionals, path, variable accessing, and all that, and also the for loops and all that, but I haven't implemented the blocks and how you define partials. So that's a big feature that needs to be added. I am inclined in releasing that and having the coding done in public. If you want to, stay tuned. This is my Twitter handle. Anything related to those libraries, I will be posting on the Twitter handle. And also, it dawned on me is that there is no agnostic, like library agnostic authentication library. Like I don't want to use Frog's implementation just for authentication. I just need, like, I wish there was a self-authentication. I searched, didn't find anything. I have some time since I searched, so maybe something came up, but if it doesn't, I'm inclined of trying to, I will get all those session code, put it in in a self-authentication library, and release that as well. Again, from my Twitter handle, you will find whether I'll do that or not. And also, I don't know if there is any room for a Dart on Rails CLI, maybe. So if there is any interest on that, I will post a poll on Twitter, on my Twitter handle, and depending on how much response I have, I might start a CLI for Rails, which will take care of all the boilerplate that I just ran you through, and it would be more kind of like configuration as in pure Rails. So Rails feels like configuration, not like real coding. So that's one of the things that I would like to do. Any questions?